Let's talk about Diary of an Oxygen Thief, but let's not talk about it for too long, as I think you can already tell it's not a very good book. There's definitely a Streisand effect surrounding hated books, because I already knew when I bought this that people hated it, but I think that's what sort of gravitated me towards it, because you want to see why do people feel so strongly about it. And then it becomes quite patently obvious why people don't like it. I'm no psychologist, but the main character feels like a sociopath. The way in which he treats people, his sort of nihilistic approach to life, it's giving sociopath. But the reason I don't think this book is successful in its rendering of that trope is because he's evil, but in a performative way that's not very realistic. It's not based in reality for him to be so like, oh, look how terrible I am. Aren't I terrible? Do you see what I just did to that girl? I'm the worst. That for me grates. It doesn't, it just isn't a very well written character study. It reminded me a bit of the Netflix series You. He definitely gives me the same vibes as Joe, where it's like, oh, you know, when you're all performative, you just sound like a pantomime villain. You don't really seem like a complicated character that I can appreciate. You just seem, you know, very basic. And it's a shame because there is definitely a way of successfully writing debauchery and writing characters who are inherently terrible and you're meant to dislike them. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Like, if you take, for example, the brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky does such a good job of creating the character of Fyodor Pavlovich. And I think part of the reason is he's a womanizer and a dirtbag, but he owns it. He doesn't like make a big song and dance about it because that's just what he is. He doesn't have to be so self-effacing about it. We can get that through seeing him interact with other people. We don't need this big like, oh, look at me, aren't I the worst? It definitely doesn't help that on the back of the book it compares the two main characters to Holden Caulfield and Lolita, which is maybe the biggest insult that could be paid to Salinger and Nabokov, because those two books are masterpieces and this is quite far from it. Don't read it.